one.
You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
On this episode, we're talking about them jellicle cats and the Queen's Gambit. It's Apathetic Enthusiasm.
That's right. Apathetic Enthusiasm. Cat-pathetic enthusiasm.
Cat-pathetic enthusiasm.
We are throwing so many cat puns in this episode tonight. Because why? Because we love cats. Cats
Meow. I'm such a cat person. The most cat person of them all.
Of all.
Oh, hi everybody. I'm Travis.
And I am Brandon, and welcome to Apathetic Enthusiasm. Real quick shout out before we get going. Shout out to the folks who are currently watching us on Twitch. Have a good day face, Matt Sizemore, and our buddy Dominic Cobb, who we haven't seen in a long time. Shout out to you for stopping in.
Yeah, in with the early shout outs for the live stream now appearing only at twitch.tv/apathetic enthusiasm. If you want to watch the show live as it happens, make sure that you head over to Twitch every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for live episodes as well as exclusive post shows that we only do over on Twitch. You can also follow us across the internet on Twitter at Apathusiast. I'm at Jugglemino. He is at Barnyard Cruise. Facebook.com/Apathetic Enthusiasm Show. You can send us an email, apatheticenthusiasmshow@gmail.com. Instagram, apathetic_enthusiasm. And then all of our shows, all of the stuff that we do over at apatheticenthusiasm.com. And then finally, you can support the show directly and buy our love over at patreon.com/apatheticenthusiasm. Lots of little bits over there, including pre-shows and other fun things. If you don't make it on a Monday night, you can still catch the video version of this show over at youtube.com/apatheticenthusiasm. Just, like a day later. No big deal. That's fine. Everything's cool.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Absolutely, Brandon. How the heck are you? Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling pretty good today. Things have been going well. I've got a lot of stuff going on my mind lately. I've got a move that's going to come up. I've got job changes that are going to happen. I've got a D&D campaign that is winding down.
Is it ever? No, the perfect time to add a new party member as the campaign is winding down, by the way.
I think my brother Brett has changed his work schedule again, so I think I might be able to get him in. So that'll be fun if I can do that.
A 5-person team. I can only imagine. Only imagine.
And a couple other things too going on. Cyberpunk is gonna come out this week.
It is already downloaded to this very computer and ready to be played on December 9th upon release. So
how are you doing? You were saying in the pre-show that the feng shui person came and told you to box up all your pops in the background.
They're coming tomorrow to tell me how to stage my house for an eventual sale. But we've been cleaning and getting organized. We have to clean before the person comes to tell us how to clean so that we can look like we're cleaner than we are once the cleaning instructor right, obviously. Am I the only neurotic person that does this now?
No. That's like typical parent activity where whenever there's a party or a get together at your house or any company, really, it's clean up your room. They're not coming in my room. You've got to clean your room. You don't know.
And the best part about that is when they're what? They're not coming to hang out in my room, Dad. And then the guest comes over and they're like, "Hey, do you want to see my room?" I'm like, "This is why you got to clean it. This is what you got to. But yeah, I'm doing well. I'm teleworking again, which has its pros and cons, right? And that means a lot more time in this space, which is nice because that it gives me, the thing that you miss when you're teleworking is that interaction, that human interaction, the ability to talk to someone, to kind of bounce ideas off other people, to break up your day. If you're just sitting there monotonously
Yeah, bing,
hammering
bing,
away at the
bing,
keyboard.
bing, bing. Ideas. Bung,
Ugh.
gung, bung, gung, gung, ding, 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 bung, bung, bung.
So
You know,
when you're home, how do you fill that? How do you replace that?
you
Well,
play
obviously
pinball.
you play pinball, and then when you run out of quarters, then you can stream stuff on the internet. So I've been catching up on so many streaming shows and movies and things like that. I've dug back into the original Batman movies on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm steeped in Tim Burton and Michael Keaton's essence right now, dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight. And
You
no, go ahead.
HBO Max. You mentioned HBO Max. Before we get into our first topic of the night, I want to say that I was trying to get Chelsea to watch that show with me, and she wasn't interested in it. But so instead, like for a while, I was making some maps for the campaign, for the D&D campaign, and I was like, let's put something on in the background. And so I threw on HBO Max and I watched the Thing prequel with my woman Mew, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and then I was like, you know what? Oh, there's Die Hard 2, which is also a Christmas movie. And I was like, you know what? I've never seen I've seen Die Hard 2 like once, maybe in the mid 90s. It came out in 90. And I don't think I've seen it since. William Sadler, who plays Death in the Bill and Ted, right?
Mhm.
He's in it. He plays the bad guy. It takes place on Christmas. And I'm thinking, you know what? Let me give it a shot. And then Chelsea, I was like, Chelsea, you want to watch this? Have you seen this before? She's like, I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm like, let's watch it. And that led into Queen's Gambit.
Yeah,
Eventually.
I noticed that HBO Max has like a section of curated titles that are like they're Christmas adjacent movies. They're the movies that take place around Christmas. So they're up for argument about whether or not they're actual Christmas movies, but it's got like the Die Hard movies in there. It's got it's like Friday After Next or something is in there because apparently that takes place during Christmas. Just like a bunch of like random movies that just happen to take place during the Christmas season. But yeah, I mean, over on HBO Max, our first topic is actually about HBO Max and the huge news that came out in this last week. We've known for a little bit that Wonder Woman 84, it kept getting delayed. It kept getting pushed back. Well, it is releasing in theaters this December on Christmas. But at the same time as it comes out in theaters, they will also be releasing it to HBO Max, available to stream if you have an HBO Max subscription. If you're thinking, hey, I'm going to go grab a free 1-month trial of HBO Max just to catch this movie for free, you're out of luck. They've thought about it already. So you have to actually pay for your month of HBO Max to get this title.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah, they're thinking.
They've thought of everything.
But this news was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. And then very quickly afterward, they announced that all Warner Brothers, the most of the blockbuster Warner Brothers films for 2021 are all going to simultaneously release to HBO Max the same day that they are available in theaters. And there are some really big names on there. I think like the new Dune movie is one of them.
Yeah, King Kong vs. Godzilla is on there. Is slated for it. Which is I didn't realize that Warner Brothers owned Legendary Pictures. But yeah, like Legendary Pictures, they voiced their displeasure with that strategy. And I think that's really what the conversation here is about. That is, like I think who was it? The owner of like AMC.
Yeah, it was like the owner of AMC Theaters, a scathing rebuke of this decision, which it sounds like the folks at WB didn't really like talk to the theaters much, where they were like, because I think there is some sort of agreement with movie theaters, right? As movies come out about distribution and exclusivity rights and things like that, where yes, we're going to release this movie into theaters and have you show it, and you're only going to be able to see it in theaters, which gives theaters an opportunity to make money before it's released on other platforms or other things like that. And Warner Brothers just like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that this year.
We have a better idea.
Space Jam is coming straight to the houses in 2021. Can't stop LeBron.
Can't stop LeBron. You can't stop Seal from coming out with another cover.
Another banger.
Yeah. This time it'll be Swingtown, the Swingtown cover of Steve Miller.
It's
Down at the Swingtown or Lido Shuffle. Lido, oh, like I don't know why Seal would sing Lido. That's awesome.
LeBron requested it specifically. So but this idea that, I mean, on the one hand, HBO Max, this is gonna be great for their platform because you got to think. I think what a month of HBO Max is $15 or something like that.
Yeah, and if you have AT&T, like the mid-tier unlimited plan, you get it for free, right?
So, right there, $15. I can't go on a date with my wife to the movies for $15. Even in a COVID-less society, I can't get there. So $15 to have a month of streaming services, all the Rick and Morty I can watch, all the, I don't know, other shows and movies, plus blockbuster films that are coming out directly to streaming. That's a great deal.
It's great.
And is probably going to drive a lot of other people onto their platform to check it out.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I understand the movie theaters and the narrative of like, is this the death of movie theaters? I've seen folks liken the advent of television to be like, is this the death of movie theaters? And that obviously it wasn't the death of theaters when TV came out, because there's still a social aspect of movie theaters that exists.
And you're never going to fully recreate that cinema experience in your home. Like, you can get close, but I mean, the big screen, the sound, it's just, there's something about being at the theater.
The sticky floors, the bad seats,
the overpriced concessions, like
the guy smoking a cigar and just cackling in the theater. What?
Wait, where are you going to movies?
Cape Terror. But I mean that's the thing is I don't think movies will die, because there is a place still for these to a social experience to go out like on a date night, right? And then in movie theaters, prestige movie theaters, or they're adding restaurants and they're adding little bars there. They're adding things to make it more of a like what Xbox was trying to do with the Xbox One, which is make it an entertainment platform, make it like your go-to place for entertainment, whether it's video games or movies or television.
Yeah.
Well, that's movie theaters are trying to do that. We're like, okay, you know what? Let's not just do one thing at a time. Let's do it all, and so folks will just come to us.
Yeah. Mr. Dom Cobb in the chat mentioning how movie theaters are bringing that like restaurant vibe in, where like I've been to a lot of theaters in the Omaha area where they either have that like that desk type thing that swivels in front of you so that you can have food at your seat, or it's almost like an actual like bar where the seats are set up to where you could like they'll like come and serve you like at a table almost, but then there's a giant movie screen in front of you, and those opportunities, maybe that is a way to bring in those other things into the theater experience. But the reality is, for a lot of these movies, I mean, Suicide Squad coming out in August. That is going to be a huge blockbuster movie that would be fantastic to see on the big screen. Dune, another one that fans have been waiting for a really long time to see, something that's probably going to have amazing cinematography and a lot of the visuals and the sound. I don't have the stuff. I don't even have a 4K TV at my house. So like it's not going to look as good at my house. And then it's going to like buffer in the middle of it because my kids are streaming on YouTube and I don't know, playing.
And they'll be like, Dad,
Fortnite.
Dad, can you help me unlock this character? Like, okay, pause it for a second.
Exactly. You are making the perfect argument for why theaters will never go away entirely, because sometimes Dad just needs to leave and go watch a movie without being asked to do anything for like 2 hours.
Alone.
So while this is sort of a shocking announcement, I don't believe it is truly the death of cinemas. But it is really exciting for me because I'm hoping by the middle of 2020 2021 things have gotten better, and I'm still hopeful, but we don't know what's going to happen in the next year. And so it is interesting that Warner Brothers has gone this far to be like, you know what, we're going to push all this stuff out, get people on this platform. We know we can make money this way. Disney has already said that they are shifting heavily into their streaming platform. It is sort of where they're focusing all of their energy, and with Pixar movies coming out on Christmas Day directly to Disney Plus, Mulan getting that Disney Plus release. It's a lot of platforms are doing it, and Netflix, that's always been their number one game. So just very interesting to see what direction this will go through the next year and beyond. But
yeah, one wholeheartedly on that. Yeah, I would like to see. I think again about the overdoing it of it, the oversaturation of the movie theater market. You just throw like just movie theaters all over the place, and then eventually a new one pops up, and then this one becomes now the dollar theater that nobody wants to go to unless they want to drink or get high in.
It's like when they started rolling out the reclining chairs, and then any theater that didn't have the reclining chairs, you're like, oh, we don't go to that one. I gotta put my feet up if I'm watching a movie.
Yeah, Matt's here in the chat, and he's talking about he's making jokes in there. But Burbank is the movie theater that we went to for a long time, and then they built a new movie theater near our house in La Cañada. That's the one we'd always go to, and it was a new, it's brand spanking new, everything's nice, and oh, this is great. And then another new one gets built in Burbank and Glendale, and they're like, no, you know what? Let's go to that one, even though it's further away. The La Cañada one is now the crappy one.
Now
right?
This is the trash theater. I gotta go to the new hotness.
Yeah. And then it's just a giant building that is dilapidated. And so what I'm saying is that HBO is doing what they have to do. I don't think it's going to be the death of theaters. If anything, I think it's going to make them, as Dom points out, have to evolve and find new ways to draw people into it. One, maybe you give a vaccine at the door. I don't know.
Here's your ticket and your shot in your arm. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say movie theaters probably can't maintain the cold storage temperatures needed for vaccines. Just look at their ice cream selections. Anyway, that is our 2 cents on direct to stream movies. One movie that maybe should have gone directly to streaming, but is now available to stream, is the Andrew Lloyd Webber classic, the film version of Cats. This is not this is not a topic I ever expected to discuss on this podcast.
Actual topic.
Yeah, actual topic.
Because we did talk about this at the beginning of the pandemic. If you recall, it was the same time we talked about Tiger King.
Oh yeah, okay, sure.
Because I did the Photoshop of Tiger King laying down with Taylor Swift as a cat, I think.
Yeah, okay.
But at the time, the movie had come out, and all I saw on Twitter was people just going after it, and saying it's so bad that you have to watch it. And then I went on vacation and I hung out with my brother Brett, and him and I were drinking and we were listening to the soundtrack, and it was just, and so him and I would just say Jellicle can, Jellicle do, just to each other randomly.
Yeah.
And it's on HBO Max now.
Yeah, you know, what else do you have to lose other than 2 hours of your life, right? I want to know, before we talk about the movie, what is your history with cats? Have you seen any production of Cats before? Is this your introduction into Cats, or are you like a closet diehard Cats fan?
This is my introduction to Cats. I never saw it in the theater, as far as the musical goes. I always wondered when the musical came out, what?
What?
What? Why? And I'm a theater kid.
Yeah.
But musicals aren't the things that jump out to me like Cats is. Like Cats do.
Right.
So I knew of it. I knew the costumes were flamboyant and bombastic, and everyone was dressed up like weird versions of cats. And I had no interest whatsoever in seeing it, even less interest when the movie came out. And yet here we are. What about you?
Here we are. Well, yeah, I am far more of a musical theater apologist. I enjoy musical theater. And then now my daughter, who is a teenager, she is obsessed with musical theater. Sorry, your green screen backdrop is Taylor Swift as a cat, but when you switched it to that, your positioning was perfect, where like it looked like Brandon the cat. So that was amazing. Another reason to check out the video version of the podcast, everybody. Yeah, my daughter loves musicals. She had never seen Cats. She had never listened to Cats. But I was like, hey, I'm going to watch this movie for the podcast. Do you want to watch it with me? And she's like, yes. I'm like, it's probably going to be terrible. She's like, absolutely. Let's watch it. So yeah, I think the only thing I really knew about Cats was, when Paul F. Tompkins goes on Comedy Bang Bang as Andrew Lloyd Webber, and then he talks about Cats as Andrew Lloyd Webber. That's the only reason I know what a Rum Tum Tugger is, or anything like that.
Well, he's a curious cat.
It's true. So this movie, like you said, the internet kind of blew up about it as it came out. There was a lot of backlash from the time of the first trailer, when we got to see what these cat actors / CGI Uncanny Valley,
these caters
what they would look like. I think they went back and actually cleaned up some of the CG, like between the trailer and the release, or maybe it was like after the actual film came out, they like went and cleaned it up a little bit more, because there were just so many complaints about the animation in the movie. And there were losing my voice. I got a hairball.
I think you're right. I think they did clean up some of the some of the animation, or you know, the CGI, but they, you know, and I feel bad for the folks who worked in the special effects department, because you know, because the actors are like, yeah, well, I mean, I did what I could. I was CGI'd into a cat, but the special effects guys, you know, men and women, are like, we tried. What do you want? What do you want for
What?
it's a
It's
movie
not like
about
we're
horny
making the
cats.
first version of Sonic the Hedgehog here, okay? Jeez. Yeah, so it's well, let's start just with the visuals. Let's talk about this movie visually, because yes, it is a movie about anthropomorphic cats.
Yes,
There's no getting around that.
there's no
That is
question.
that is on the table from the beginning. But instead of traditional actors in cat costume, they pushed the envelope by animating this cat aspect onto actors who I'm assuming performed in motion capture suits with, like, on a green screen. That's the thing for me that I don't know. I don't know how much of this is actors, how much of this is the result of animated graphic artists,
Yeah.
and it hurts.
Because there are some times when there's like a close up on their face, where it looks as though it's prosthetic makeup, and it looks, you know, it looks fairly decent as far as people face on cats ends up being. The minute there's like a mid shot of a bunch of cats looking at the camera, that's when it looks Uncanny Valley. That's when it looks kind of fake, for certain things. Um, for Jennifer Hudson, like whenever it's on her and it's really close up, it looks fairly decent as far as special effects and makeup goes. Uh, One, she doesn't have to dance, so it makes sense that like you just like put a bunch of mink fur coats on her, and then just close up on her face, and then just, you know, do that makeup. But all these other dancers, uh, you know, and impressive dancers in their own way. Once you start looking at their face, they're like, oh, it's like it's not doesn't match up all the way,
Right.
or
Uh, the thing that I really struggled with, and like I said, we watch plenty of musicals in this house, so we're seeing a variety of different styles of musicals. We're seeing large dance numbers and things like that. The lead actress in this movie, Francesca Hayward, Victoria the White Cat, is who she is. She is a professional ballet dancer. I looked her up on IMDb while
Okay.
we were watching the movie. She is a dancer. It's what she does, and I'm sure she is terrific at it. And she is doing a lot of ballet style moves as a white cat in this movie. But because of how the movie is made, I don't know how much of that is like, that's her performance. That is how she moved. That is how she was dancing in this scene. And how much of it is cleaned up or redone or adjusted to apply a layer of felineness to her performance. And there are a lot of dance scenes and things like that where I'm like, okay, this looks like a cool dance, but it also looks kind of like bad animation. It looks a little bit like some cool popping and locking, and also a little bit like the scene from the Polar Express where they're dishing out hot chocolate. Like, I don't know what to believe right now.
Yeah, there's here's kind of what I was telling Chelsea about it. About midway through, I'm feeling, you know, I had a smirk on my face the entire first act, basically, but I started getting exhausted because I was like, I can't handle the cringe that much for that long and be okay with it. Like at some point in time I have to break. But I was like, I told her, you know, if this was a if I was in the theater and all these dancers and these singers were doing their thing, although yes, it I would be like, these cats are weird, they look weird, this is crazy. The production value of the dancers doing it live, having so much practice, the set designers, all the people in behind the scenes changing sets, and uh, I, I think all of that would make it more impressive and more tolerable to me. But when you're watching a movie version of a musical, and they keep that musical vibe to it, for example, going into the second act, right before the ghosts of the town, or whatever that song is that Veronica sings, uh, and right after Memories. Before that, Judy Dench is watching all the Jellicle cats do their thing by the Jellicle moon. And then there's those pop and lock cats, and everyone's just like dancing, having a fun time. And I told Chelsea, I'm like, this would be like leading into the second act. This would be like here's where you stop. There's going to be an intermission right after the song's over, and then you're going to come back in for Act Two. And that's essentially what happens, right? You know, Memories happens, and
Well,
then,
yeah, you have them out on the streets and exploring the street, and then the whole Jellicle Ball second
yeah,
act, sort of where everything
and
exists within that for the most
and
part.
and all in that 5 to 7 minute stretch of just dancing. It's just dancing and music, like, and it's that creepy CGI. That's the part I'm like, I don't. This doesn't need a movie for it. Like, I'm not impressed by this, because
Right.
you can do a ton of different takes. If this was
Mhm.
on stage, that's a different thing entirely.
And we've talked about the Uncanny Valley numerous times throughout the history of this podcast. We've talked about it in movies that don't want you to even know that there's CGI. They want you to just believe that it's real. And I feel like we're already not going to believe that Taylor Swift is a cat, or that like Rebel Wilson is a cat. We know that James Corden is not a fat cat. At least we're pretty sure. So you're already kind of like, all right, they have to work with that, but they didn't produce this in such a way that it pushes past that. Whereas, like, if this was just a recorded stage production, like, that's an actor in a cat costume, and I'm going to suspend disbelief and just go with that fact. But we've talked, like, this movie exists in that Uncanny Valley where you feel like you're comfortable, where you feel like, okay, that's a cat person. Let's do this. It's a cat person. Like, then they start dancing on a railroad track, or they like do something, and then like the scale completely flips, and they're like, is this cat a foot tall, or is it 3 feet tall, or is it 6 inches tall? It keeps adjusting, and so they just keep kind of, anytime you feel like you're comfortable in that valley, they're like, haha, no, now they can also disappear. And so visually, the film creates a lot of that struggle. And it obviously, I mean, it's a movie where we're watching this for 2 hours, so it's hard to overlook visuals. But now, go ahead.
No, and again, the stage performance of this, the costumes are kind of abstract, and they're not realistic, and because they're not realistic, it allows your brain to be like, eventually be like, okay, I understand. This isn't realistic. They're not cats. Okay, let's enjoy the other aspects of the show. When there's these kind of surreal moments with people in cat faces in this movie, and then the scale, when we talked about this before we recorded, the scale of certain items is just all over the place. Or like Mr. Mistopheles, the magical Mr.
Magical
Mistopheles.
Mr. Mustafa. Yeah, we're
He
we're not going to get any copyright trouble
no
here, I hope.
no 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 no. Although arguably we're better singers. Just kidding. No, we're not.
Yeah.
Uh,
Great.
but the he like shows playing cards, right? Like what a cat would have, playing cards a cat would have. And then he pulls a fork out, and playing cards are not that big, about yay big.
Yeah.
A fork is like that big. Whatever. And but the fork was smaller than a single playing card. I'm like, that's off. There's something wrong with that. A little bit earlier, when Veronica is with the two cats who break into a house and just wreck shit for no reason, they put a ring on her arm, and I'm like, if she's a cat, that ring will not go around a cat's paw, let alone a cat's arm. Like, what's going on?
What is happening with this jewelry?
And so that scale kind of like always takes me out. It doesn't. Maybe perhaps I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna hang in there. I'm gonna go out on a limb. But I think maybe the scale bothers me more than the cat faces do.
Yeah, I will say there is a point in this film where I let myself go with the bad visuals and just accepted it. I went through the stages of bargaining and eventually acceptance with the visuals. And so by the end I was like, okay, yeah, like the scale is going to be weird. Weird stuff's going to happen. Sometimes their faces are going to move in a weird way, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
And this is a beloved musical for millions of people. So what are they seeing in it, right? And one of those things is probably got to be the music, right? And you talk about listening to the soundtrack with your brother. We
Yeah.
we throw this movie on, and the opening number kicks off with the Jellicle Cats, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting like halfway through this song, and I'm kind of like, this song isn't too bad. And then I look over at my daughter, and she's kind of jamming to it, and then she looks over at me and she's like, "Dad, I might like this." What? Oh God, I think I might like this, Dad. And I'm like, it's okay. We'll, if you will hash it all out in therapy later in life, it's going to be fine. But then there are obviously classic songs from this that are like timeless and are lived outside of the musical. So the music, for the most part, pretty good. Performances by individual performers, hit or miss. I'll say.
I will say the only song that has any right being considered good is the memory song.
Memory.
Whatever.
Yeah, Memory.
That is the only song in this entire movie or stage production that is like, this was a good song. It's a ballad, and like I get emotions from it. Every other song is like somebody in a freshman year high school poetry class was like, I want to write a song. Here are the words. How many times can we say pub or cat? They say Jellicle, no shit, like 200 and some, like 230 times. Like it's in the IMDb trivia. It's over 220 times. They say Jellicle.
I had to Google what a Jellicle cat was, because that
Yeah,
was a term I had never heard of before starting this film.
Well, I don't want I don't we could talk shit about this movie as for forever and a day.
We've got
But
time.
I'll switch it from I don't the memory is good. The lyrics for everything else is just very very like come on, Andrew Lloyd Webber. Um, but Jellicle, the Heaviside Layer, all this type of stuff. What is a Jellicle cat? That's the first thing me and Brett looked up. This whole thing is based off of T.S. Eliot book, right?
Right.
And so taking that in these very disparate stories and about cats and turning it into a play, like okay, I can see that. I'm a fan of David Lynch, so I can stand weird shit.
Sure.
Um, it, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird doing. Oh, it's almost like a Naked Lunch, which is an Edgar Rice Burroughs. No, damn it. Uh, a weird writer. David Cronenberg did his film, I think.
William S. Burroughs?
Yes. A very, very, very weird movie. A very weird book that it has no is it's very kind of formless. Wrote it when he's all jacked up on hash, right? I can stand weird things, and I'm always interested to see how folks are able to translate that into some kind of performance or narrative. But T.S. Eliot,
T.S. Eliot.
what are you gonna do?
So in the end, what do we take away? What have we learned? How do we grow from this experience? Because there are numerous people that I follow on the social internet who fell in love with this movie, went numerous times to the theaters in groups, sort of just to bathe themselves in the whatever it is that this film provides. So I guess other than dropping Jellicle cat lyrics to your brother, I don't know, what else do you take away? I don't want to know if you liked it. Did you like it? Will you ever watch this again? Like, do you recommend it? Like, what do you...
If you are a musical theater student like your daughter, then I recommend it in that way. If I want to troll somebody and I want to laugh at their discomfort for at least a song or two, then yeah, I definitely recommend it. Because Jellicles can and Jellicles do. Uh, Jellicles do and Jellicles can. Can you see in the dark? Can you look at a king? Would you sit on his throne? Can you save your bite that it's worse than your bark? Are you cock of the walk when you're walking alone? When you fall on your head, do you land on your feet? Look, because Jellicles can and Jellicles do. Jellicles do and Jellicles can. It's just very weird. Look, if you're gonna go into this movie, just know if you didn't understand the life of a Jellicle cat, you're just bare bones. Here's what the plot is. We didn't talk about plot because it's very it's like non-existent basically. But what it is it's 2 hours of being introduced to different types of cats, and then periodically the evil cat Macavity, who played by Idris Elba, makes cats disappear
in his best role ever.
best role ever. Luther, no. From The Wire, no, none of that. Macavity, and introduced to new cats, and then at the very end of it, there's like some kind of cat heaven called the Heaviside Layer that every year the old Deuteronomy, played by Judi Dench, picks which cat goes to cat heaven, and then she flies away in a blimp. Are
Jellicle cats in cat purgatory? Is that what this is?
No, I don't even think it's that.
I don't know. I just tried real hard to make sense of it, and and I think I got a cramp.
This is cat lost.
Cat lost. Yeah. The you talk about Judi Dench, and that song she sings at the end, the addressing of cats. That song was weird because she breaks the fourth wall for starters, and I was like, oh gosh, she's looking into my soul. But then there's these lines. So first, your memory I'll jog and say, a cat is not a dog. Was this an issue? Was this an underlying issue that we were supposed to be dealing with? I saw no dogs the entire movie.
Not once. We heard a dog.
Yeah,
Didn't
we
see
did.
the dog.
Didn't see it. I heard a dog once. Yeah, a cat is not a dog. And I think
Thank you. Old
I'm a dog
Deuteronomy.
person, and this movie Cats is not a dog. So I don't know.
I want to finish up with a final thought for cats, and we'll move on. I was walking my dog with Chelsea and my kid to go get the mail, and we have to walk half a block or whatever to the mailbox to get the mail. And as we're walking around the corner of the street, I look. There's a 2-story house there in front of us, and in the second story window, there's a white cat that's just staring at me. And this is basically like 20 minutes after we watched Cats. And I was like, Veronica, it's you. Jellicles can and Jellicles too, cause Jellicles do. And it was just like it just eyeballed me as we walked around the corner.
It's because you were not properly addressing the cat. You didn't take to heart the proper protocols for addressing a cat.
That's right, because it may very, very well have been Rum Tum Tugger. He's a curious cat.
It's a curious cat. All right. That's enough. If you have HBO Max, you can watch every blockbuster movie for the next year, or you can watch Cats. All right, moving on in a hard segue to a Netflix limited series that has been topping the charts, and I watched this a couple of weeks ago. Really got into it. I probably would have binge watched through the whole thing during my own quarantine if it hadn't been for my family being like, "No, let's watch it together when you're done." Here comes that second hairball. But of course, we're talking about The Queen's Gambit. Yeah, so this is again based on a novel, not by T.S. Eliot. But this is a show that I had to do a quick is this based on a true story? No? Okay. Shift my expectations about what I'm actually watching. But this is a period drama about a young girl who is an orphan who learns how to play chess in the orphanage, has a natural gift for chess, and how her life, how she kind of finds herself in chess, while also being in a world of being adopted and having substance abuse problems and being obsessed with competitive chess. Figured you'd be really into this concept, Brandon, mostly because of the chess aspect.
Mostly because of the drugs.
Mostly because of the tranquilizers and the red-haired wigs. But I thought this show was great. I watched the whole thing. And what are your early impressions? Because I know you didn't finish the show, Brandon, even though you've had weeks to watch it. What are your thoughts so far after watching a little bit of Queen's Gambit?
Well, I first want to shout out to Sizemore, who said period drama. Spoiler alert.
Actually a note in the show. Yeah, absolutely. So good point.
Yeah, I hate period drama. Just leave the house for a week. Oh, you can't say that. Oh, was that?
Shush.
Oh no. Oh.
Be right back. Somebody's calling me.
That's the period police. Okay.
All right, I'm back.
Great.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Welcome
That's
back.
that's what I get for keeping an echo in my podcast room. Lesson learned, guys.
Lesson learned. Uh, okay. You watched the whole thing already, or you're
No,
not done?
I
Okay.
watched the whole thing,
Okay.
which I think it's like seven or 8 episodes. So
Yeah, I think it's 8 episodes. It took me a while. We talked about this. We talked about watching this show for this episode of this podcast, and so I had every intent on watching it. All week long. I was working at work this last week. I wasn't teleworking, so by the time I got home, I was just exhausted, and then a D&D roll around, so I didn't have time until yesterday to start watching it. And throughout the course of the week, I had said to Chelsea, like, you want to watch this show? We gotta watch Cats first, but we also have to watch Queen's Gambit. And she's like, I don't know, I don't really want to watch a show about, like, I get it. She's a girl. She's gonna try to do things better than men, and men are gonna treat her like shit. And, like, I don't want to see that uh, in in my fiction right now, let alone my real world. And I said, shut up, make me dinner.
let me tell you how to think.
Look, as long as you know you can't do things better than me, then we're good. But she's always said, like, she's always said, yeah, if you recommend a show, then chances are I'll end up liking it. So yesterday, Sunday, I'm like, let's just watch an episode. We'll watch an episode, see how you like it, and then if you don't want to watch it, then we won't watch anymore. We watched an episode yesterday. It was okay. I wasn't too super into it that first episode. And then this morning I woke up and I was up for a little bit, and then I started. I'm like, okay, I gotta watch some more episodes. So I started playing it, and then no shit, like a minute later, Chelsea walks out of the bedroom. She's like, "You're watching that without me? What the hell?" I'm like, oh well, I didn't think you want to watch it. It's like she's like, oh, no, it's fine. Just go ahead. I'll catch up on it later. Like, no, it's a minute in. She's like, okay, well, let me sit down. And so then we watched that second episode, and then we may have watched the third. No, maybe we just watched the two. Wait, does she get adopted in the second one?
So she gets,
Yeah.
she gets adopted in the second one.
That's we watched that one.
Which
and
the first episode, like, feels like a lot going on. It I don't know. It's the main actress that plays Beth Harmon. That's the name of the main character. Anya Taylor-Joy. She's like almost not in the entire episode because it all takes place when Beth is much younger and is just learning how to play chess. And then in the second episode, she gets adopted rather quickly, and then the story takes off from there. This wasn't a show that I fully expected to be like, yes, absolutely, I'm super into it. But for some reason, I don't know, I was just really drawn in. Maybe it's because I was by myself for 2 weeks, and so I was just like, yes, all right, this is really interesting. Chess has always fascinated me from a pretty young age when I learned how to play. So, and I'm not great at it, which we'll discover in the post show when Brandon plays chess live on Twitch against me and just wipes. He's gonna wipe the floor with me, guys. So, stick around.
I'm not that good.
But yeah, and just the chess that's played at a high level really fascinates me. And so that's what I was really looking forward to in this show, was seeing sort of that, early 60s, 70s chess community, see like what that would look like, how that would play out. And you're not quite there yet. She's still kind of working the local circuits in the episode, the first couple episodes, but as it goes, you see how chess really kind of makes a life for her, and then also how Brandon's messing with his backgrounds to try and find the right depiction of the Queen's Gambit behind him, and that none of them are really working. Just find like generic. There you go. Back to Taylor Swift the cat. But the whole thing with like getting hooked on tranquilizers, her reliance on these tranquilizer pills to get into the right headspace to think about chess, and how that develops like a substance abuse problem later on, which isn't just pills, but also happens with alcohol and all sorts of other things. There's a lot in this show, and not a lot in my voice apparently.
Yeah. Well, I will say the first episode, I was interested in it in you looked ahead of time to see if it was based on a true story or not. I think had I known that, I think my mind would have been opened more to it. Not that it would have been not opened if it was based on a true story. I think I just there wouldn't be that question, that like mental block that was driving a wedge into my attention. Like, oh, it's based on a true story. Okay, cool. Like now I wonder about the real person. Or okay, I know this is not real. Of course, no woman is that good at chess. That type of thing. um, so then going into the second episode, I started to appreciate it more in getting in with showing a lot more of the chess type stuff. And even then, I still didn't know that it was based on a novel and not a real story.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the interactions, I was like, I was hesitant about it. I do enjoy it so far, but I'm not enthralled by it. I guess I'm kind of like the men who lose to her in the episodes, where and Chelsea said this. She's like, why do people get so pissed off when they lose at chess? And she's like, oh, it's probably because they're like they're thinking really hard, and to lose at chess, you're basically like someone smarter than you.
Yeah.
And why,
or knows the game better, but yeah, typically is smarter, can see, because that's the thing that, especially as the show goes on and she's playing against, world ranked like chess masters and all this stuff, the thought that like when you play at that level and you've played so much chess, the idea that like you can get the upper hand on someone else with the same 16 pieces, and it's just, I don't know, that sort of stuff is fascinating to me. I did read a brief article. I feel bad I don't have the reference for it right now, but somebody was talking about how the one thing that's missing from the TV adaptation of Queen's Gambit is the fact that Beth Harmon is too attractive. And this kind of gets into Matt's question in the chat about whether or not she's incredibly attractive or is about to attack Ripley. So I think she's in it, especially in the later episodes. She looks very attractive once her bangs like figure their situation out. Her once she grows out of the orphanage haircut, like I think we're on a good pace here. But in the novel, she is not an attractive person. She is, and it is called out explicitly apparently that she is not a good-looking person in the book. And the fact that she's able to find this acclaim and fame and wealth and do so many great things, and it's not based on her looks. It's not tied to what she looks like, but it is about her ability to play chess and outthink these people and just be better than them, and not have to have it be anything about what she looks like. That was really a struggle for the person writing that article. And I thought that was interesting to me that, I mean, obviously it's an age old issue where you have books with ugly people in them that then get played by beautiful people in Hollywood. And you're like, well, that person's way more attractive than they're supposed to be in the book. So I think that is another case of maybe that happening.
Yeah, like for example, Stephen King's Christine, Arnie is just a really really ugly kid in that book, and I'm speaking to you as if you know what I'm talking about. Uh, but in Christine, the book where there's a car that kills people, there's this kid named Arnie. He's he's a nerd. He's an outcast, super pimply, acne faced, ugly kid. And as he bonds with Christine, as he's building up the car, he's making the car better. He too is becoming better, and his face is clearing up and all that type of stuff. To eventually, like, he is an attractive young man, and the car is killing people. In the movie version, he's not like that. He doesn't have that change over the course. It's just an example. It's just I'm just using literary examples.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Well, anyway, the point is, I don't like feeling stupid, and so I don't want to watch people who are smarter than me, which is everybody.
I will say, Brandon, I know you're only a couple episodes in. I hope you will keep watching it. There are some great moments in this movie or the show of people coming together and like the team aspects of chess and how people, like different people who are really good at chess, work together to try and build each other up. And they talk about how the Russian players work as a team, and they talk about games after they happen, or talk about games while they're happening, like if they have to take a break between days or something, and help each other out, and how Americans, that's just not part of who Americans are with chess, right? And there's scenes later on where that ends up happening, and I don't know. In the end, I plowed through this show. I absolutely loved it. I hope you'll keep watching it. If anyone else hasn't seen it, doesn't know what we're talking about, and you have a Netflix account, even though the prices just went up again like last month, check it out. Go check out Queen's Gambit. I definitely recommend it. I thought it was great. And this is another one of those movies that having like a teenager now, like she's liking these types of shows too, and it's like, man, it's like having another person with like similar tastes to bounce ideas off of. It's weird. It's cool.
Yeah. My question about the show is not just about the show, but about real life. Are all tranquilizers green pills? Are they all?
Yeah, they have to be.
They have to be.
Otherwise, you won't recognize them on camera. Yeah, it's a rule.
Yeah, it's a rule. That was the only thing that was like that. Like one of the very very small things that you latch onto. That like the minute detail. It's frivolous. It shouldn't bother you. Like
also and I think this happens in the first episode. So the spoiler warning. Sorry, when she's grabbing like handfuls of pills and like gobbling those down, I'm like, this chick's gonna die. She is gonna die in the first episode. There's no way she's gonna be fine after that. And then it turns out to not be based on a true story. So she's fine. Yeah, she's fine. She grows up. She's just fine. A mild sedative addiction.
And I don't know how quickly those things work. You know, that's the other question. Like one time I took a handful of Tylenol PMs. In like,
a handful? I don't want to ever hear you taking a handful of any pill.
And it took about 10-15 minutes for a handful to work. Let alone
my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, use your pills responsibly. And also check out Queen's Gambit on Netflix. Check out Cats on HBO Max, as well as every other WB movie in 2021 on HBO Max. That is going to do it for this episode. If you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, thank you so much for downloading. Thank you for checking it out. If you're on Apple Podcasts, you can rate and review this podcast. That would be amazing. Or just share the podcast with people that
Someone you love.
Someone you love. Share it on your social media. Thank you guys so much for doing that. If you're on YouTube, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Let us know what you guys think about this episode. Drop a comment. And then if you're watching on Twitch, stick around because we are going to go right into our post show and do some live Brandon versus Travis online chess for your viewing enjoyment. Thank you guys so much. And we should be able to knock out one more of these before the holiday season is complete. So, hope you have a great December, and we'll be talking to you soon. Until next time, I'm Travis.
And I'm Brandon, and toodaloo, doodaloo, shlimmity-bob, shlab-blab-blab-blab.